everybody. Happy Friday. So, okay. You guys took a quiz yesterday, and most of you did fantastic. So a lot of you got 102 because you got the 2 extra credit points throughout the week for putting your first, last name, and section, which was awesome. Now, some of you did get a 65 on the quiz, so you need to go into Sapphire and check your grades. Okay, so log in with your student ID is your login and your password. It's the same thing, ID, and then your Sapphire PIN number. Okay, and check your grades, because if you don't like your quiz grade, then you can email me and say, I'm not happy with my 70, can I redo it? Okay, do not email me and say, what was my grade? You should be able to check your grades on your own, or your parents should be able to check your grades as well. Okay, so check your grades and see, but you guys are doing a nice job. Today you must turn in your polygon pictures, your 6 or 7 pictures on your slide. So if you didn't do that yesterday, make sure you turn it in today. It is due today if you didn't do it yet. All right? If you did it yesterday, then your only thing for today is to do extra math. So I'm going to be checking extra maths. Okay? If you have to do the pictures, you also have to do extra math. So when I log into extra math today, I should see a red, a yellow, or a green dot for everybody's name. Hopefully you don't get red, because if you get red, you won't get any credit for it. All right, so make sure you're focused and go through. Those of you that have tested out of extra math, which there's a handful of you, you get a pass for today, because that means you know all your skills already. So you automatically get credit for your extra math. Okay, so make sure you paid attention to that. All right, so I told you I was going to tell you a story on Friday. So I'm very excited because this is like my favorite lesson. I was super bummed that I wouldn't be in school to do it. So I'm going to do it now. So I have on my fancy math shirt right now. And I'm going to tell you a little, we're going to talk about triangles, okay? So I'm going to draw a triangle up here on the board. And it's going to be a right triangle, okay? And when you draw a triangle, it kind of looks like a mountain, right? Okay, so here's the top of our mountain, here's the bottom of our mountain, and I'm going to take my blue marker, and here's my river, okay, because at the bottom of the mountain, the valley is a lot of water, okay, and up at the, oh shoot, I don't have a green marker. Okay, so we're going to have like apple trees or something. I forgot my marker. So up here you have trees, okay, and, okay, so what happens is in math, we have this thing called the hypotenuse, and so it's a math word that sometimes shows up on the PSSA. It'll show up in 6th grade, and they'll ask you about the hypotenuse of the triangle. And now that I'm looking at it, I'm totally thinking that I might have spelled it wrong. I am not a very good speller. You guys know that. Let me see. Oh, yeah, no, that's not right. Okay. I'll write it again. See? Look how well I'm using my resources. Some of you should have done that yesterday on your quiz. Okay. So they say to you, like, hey, what's the hypotenuse of the triangle? And they give you some names, and they'll say, so this is side A, and this is side B, and this is side C, and you need to know which one's the hypotenuse. So I'm going to tell you how we know which one's the hypotenuse. So we have our mountain, and down here in the water, we have I'm not the art teacher. We have these hippos. So we have all these cute hippos that live down here in the water, okay? And they're very fat with short little legs. I still don't know how they stand up. So those are our hippos, okay? So the hippos, they like to hang out in the water, okay? And then up on the mountain, up here, okay, I don't have a brown marker, so I'm going to use blue. We have other animals. Oh, gosh. And they're up on the mountain. We have these animals, and these animals are are moose. Okay, so moose, they like to live up on the top of the mountain. And so they like to wander through the forest, you know, see what else they can find up there. But, you know, so we have all these moose that live up here and all these hippos that live down here. So every once in a while, the moose obviously need water. So in order for them to get water, the moose goes down the mountain. So he goes down the mountain to the water to get a drink. Well, one time when the moose goes down the mountain to get a drink, the Mr. Moose runs into this beautiful hippo. And Mr. Moose is like, oh my gosh, she's so pretty. I'm going to ask her out on a date. So Mr. Moose takes the hippo on a date. Next thing you know, the moose and the hippo, they decide that they're going to get married. And Mr. Moose and Happy Hippo get married. And when they get married, they have a baby. And when they have a baby, they get a hippopotamus. So that's why my shirt, I have a hippopotamus on my shirt. So there are all of a sudden this new breed of animal called the hippopotamus because the hippo and the moose got together and got married. So this only happens one time, and then they have a baby, and then the baby grows up, and or I guess they have a couple babies, and then so they grow like this little family of hippopotamus. There's not very many of them, and they live on the mountain right here, okay? So it's very interesting because then what happened is they decided to call this side of the triangle the hypotenuse after the hippopotamus. So the hypotenuse of the triangle is the slanted side that goes from the top of the mountain to the bottom of the mountain because of that side of the mountain, the moose and the hippo were able to meet each other. So this is the hypotenuse. So if you had a question on a test and it said, what side is the hypotenuse, you would say side C because that's where the hippopotamus were and that's where they lived. So it's always across from the right angle is the hypotenuse. Okay, now in my classroom you saw there's a bunch of ceiling tiles about the hippopotamus. I had a picture on the front board of a hippopotamus. So unfortunately the hippopotamus are no longer alive. They became extinct, and you know, stinks. We know that happens to certain animals, but you know, sometimes some of them went the wrong way to get to the water, and they fell off their mountain. But that's the story of the hippopotamus, and that's why, like I said, I love my hippopotamus shirt, and that's why you see pictures of him in my classroom, because I just think it's a really cool animal, and I don't know how, to be honest with you, how in the world does a hippopotamus stand up? Because I think it's weird that hippos can stand up because they're so big with their short little legs, but then you take those antlers and you stick it on top of the hippo, and I just don't understand how they even walked around at all. So I feel like they'd be like falling over constantly and whatnot. But so that's my story for today. So when you get into 6th grade and they start to ask you about your hypotenuse, you can remember about the hippopotamus and how they met. So when you do your discussion question today, to get credit for being here for math today, I want you to pick 2 animals, okay, that you think would look really cool if these 2 animals had a baby. Okay, so whether it's a bunny and a snake, and then you have a snake that's hopping. I mean, that would be kind of funny. So kind of like a hippo and a moose. That would be kind of funny. So in the comments, you have to tell me which 2 animals, and you have to do that. This is your check-in for today, okay? So everyone should be commenting, and as I see you commenting, I'm going to be checking off and giving you your 2 points for your learning, and you have your project. It's not a project. It's just pictures that you have to turn in. Okay, so I hope you like my story of the hippopotamus. I hope that you remember it forever and ever because it's awesome. And even in distance learning, I still got to tell you about the hippopotamus. I'm so sorry that I'm the worst trawler ever. I will work on being better. Okay. All right, guys, I hope you have a great Friday, and I hope you have a great weekend. Be sure, don't forget, it's Mother's Day. So if you can make a card for a mom, a grandmom, an aunt, somebody, do something special. You could trace your hands on construction paper and turn them into a butterfly and write them a little note. That's what I'm doing with my kids. But those are just some ideas. Okay. All right, guys. Bye.